Hi folks, Jason here. Have you ever wanted to take your 3D projects to the next level with custom graphics and stencils? Whether it's adding logos, artwork, or creative designs to your models, Blender makes it easy and fun. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to use the stencil feature to project detailed graphics onto your surfaces, step by step, perfect for beginners and pros alike. Let's dive in. So as you can see here, we've got this very simple cube. We've got some free images that I got off the internet to put on there. The effects can be pretty cool. You can also add a bump. Before we get into it, I'm just going to show you the shading and just turn on the viewport shader. So it's relatively simple. It's got some image textures, a couple of mix shaders, a bump, and finally we've got RGB curves as well, which we'll bring in last. So let's get to it. I'm going to go to Layout, File, New, and General. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just bring this up above the grid. And I'm not going to delete this. I'm going to go Tab key, Control and B, and just round off the edges like so. And just create a couple of segments, something like that. Hit Tab mode again, right click, Shade Smooth. So we've got that set up there. And then lastly, what I'm going to do is nothing fancy, just going to go U, Smart UV Project, and Unwrap. So if we go through to the UV editing now, you should end up with something that looks like that. Okay, back to Layout. And we can start applying the material. So go through to Shading. And I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to create our image texture. I'm going to take off from the base color there. I'm going to go Image Texture. I'm going to click on the folder symbol there. I'm going to go and find my Images folder. And I've got like a very basic free concrete image that I've got there. I'm going to put that down there. So, right. Okay, so we've got that sorted. Now, you can at this stage add a little bump if you want. So I'm going to go Shift and A, search, type in bump, and then just put that in there like so. Now we're going to actually connect it to the height, and then move this down to the normal, and then connect up the color to the base color. So you should be able to see the bump there. It might be a little bit high, but again, you can play around with this. Okay, now we're ready to create another image texture. So I'm going to go Shift and A, search, image, texture, put that there. I'm going to click on New. This time I'm going to call this Stencil. Leave everything as is, new image. Now, what I'm going to need to do here is start mixing the two of these together. So how we do that is I'm going to make some more space. And I'm going to create a mix. So I'm going to go Shift and A. And what we want is mix color. Okay. And from there, what we're going to do is going to connect the color up to there. We're going to also take the color from the concrete to B. So we've got stencil going to A, concrete going to B. And then from there, we're going to take this to the base color instead. So you should end up with something that looks like that. Now, also, we need to feed this through the bump as well. So I'm going to create another mix color. Now, you can just go and go Shift and A, or you can go Shift and D with this selected, just to create another one like that. Now, what we need to do here is, again, like before, we need to move that to B. We need to take from the stencil to A, like so. And that is pretty much it. We're all kind of set up with that, and we are ready to go. A couple of the little tweaks as well. So this is really for aesthetics as much as anything else. So if you zoom in a little bit there, you can see there's a bit of pixelation going on with the bump. And how we can remedy that is we go to here and make that cubic there. Just smooths it off a bit more. Okay, so we're all kind of set up there and we're ready to start stenciling. So from here, we're going to go through to the texture paint. At the moment, it's not showing, so we'll just go through to the viewport shading there so we can see it. And what we're going to do here is we're going to, first of all, create our wolf character. So I'm going to go to texture properties. So this is going to be a brush. So I'm going to go new and leave that on image or movie. I'm going to go down to here and go to open. I'm going to go and find my folder, which is there. Click on my little wolf image and go open. Not going to see anything at the moment until we go to the top here to tool, go down to texture. We should see our wolf there. Just as a side note as well, when you're putting images in here, they have to be square, at least for the purposes of doing this video. If you have anything like small oblong, it doesn't really key in. So it's just something to bear in mind. Okay, so from there, I'm going to go change that from view plane to stencil. And you should end up with something that looks like that. Make sure that you've got the white selected there. And in order to maneuver it, first of all, I'm going to go into the front view. And I'm going to hold down my right mouse button and move it in place like that. In order to reduce the size, it's shift and right mouse button. If you want to rotate it, it's right mouse button and control. But that looking pretty good to me. I'll just reduce it down a little bit. Then all you need to do is just draw over the top. Nice and simple. And if you want to take a look at it, we'll take it off stencil, go to view plane, and you'll be able to see there the stencil's on there. Very nice indeed. Now the color's not too strong, but that's where we're going to delve into adding another shader. So let's have a go at putting some other ones on there. So I'm going to go rotate to the side there. I'm going to click on these little tabs here, and I'm going to go to the folder, and let's choose something else. What about this here? Go open image, then go back to the top, and then move down. And you see there it's changed now. And we're going to change the mapping from view plane to stencil. And again, just like before, right mouse button. Might want to rotate that a little bit. So control and right mouse button, like so. And then just move it in place. You might go shift and right mouse button to move that up. And then same as before, we'll just go over the top like so. Now, as you can see there, if we just move this over, you can see it corresponding with, it's kind of upside down, but it doesn't really matter. You can see there the images being printed on there as well onto the UV. Right, let's have another go. Back to mapping stencil view plane, and we'll bring this round here, and let's go and change this out. So let's click on that little button there, go to folder, and let's choose this cute character here. Go back to the top to tool, should see it change. There we go. And we're going to change the mapping to stencil. And same thing as before, we're just going to move this and move that into place, something like that. I might increase the brush size a little bit and just draw over the top. So that's looking pretty cool. I'm going to take it off stencil, go back to view plane, and then lastly, I'm going to bring our little skull and the swords in. This time round, though, instead of texture, we're going to use texture mask. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back down to the bottom here, and I'm going to change this at the top now from brush to brush mask. Then I'm going to go new, and I'm going to go open, go through to my folder, and this time use the skull and bones, or skull and swords. And from there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to now get rid of that texture and open up texture mask, and you should see it there, like so. And I'm going to change the mask mapping from view plane to stencil. Now this time round, you have to hold down Alt and Shift together to move. If you want to kind of enlarge it, Shift and Control to rotate. Sorry, Alt and Control to change it, and Alt to move it into place. So again, just using the combination of these things, you can move it into place. Okay. And then same as before, we're just literally just drawing over the top. So it's slightly different, but same principle. Now I'm going to change this back to view plane. So this is all looking all right, but it's looking a bit washed out. And this is where we need to do a little bit of work with the shading. So if I go back into shading now, and let's just rotate that, we're going to need to add an RGB curves shader. So we've got a bit of space there. I might just make it a little bit more space there actually. And I'm going to go Shift and A, search RGB curves. You can see it there. Click on that there. And I'm going to pop that in there like so. And this is where you just have to kind of try and experiment a little bit. Now I had some success with this by just sort of creating this S shape. So if I just zoom in on this, and let's say just move it to say there, just so you can get a nice view of it. And I'm going to move this to here. So basically when you click on it, it sort of creates these little nodes. And then I'm going to have one there. I'm going to bring this down to here. And then I'm going to have another one here. And then basically just manipulate these curves into this kind of like S shape. This is what works for me. It might be different for what you're doing, but you can see already it's made it a lot stronger than it was. Other things you might want to consider is, if I just move down here, is maybe taking the strength of the bump down a little bit. And also the roughness, I'm going to take that up a little bit. It might be a little bit kind of bit too shiny. And that's not looking too bad. Now, the other cool thing we can do is if I go back through to texture paint, and tell you what, I'm just going to, before I do that, I'm going to go to layout and just come into this view here. I'm going to go Shift and A. I just want to kind of make like a base for this. So it's going to scale this plane up like so, and just Shift and select the cube as well, G and Z, just to bring that up a little bit like that. Okay, so how can we erase? It's really, really simple. If we go back to texture paint and zoom in, all you're going to need to do is, I'm just going to change that background. It's changed for some reason to object mode. Is with that selected, I'm going to now just lose that texture mask. I'm going to go back to texture. I'm going to go to new, click on these tabs here. And then where it says type, image or movie, I'm going to click on that and select clouds. And again, you can play around with some of this. I'm going to maybe just take that down a little bit. It's on soft. And then all you need to do in order to kind of take bits away is, it might be a bit more dramatic on this, is you hold down Control and you literally just eat away at it. And you can see then it's really cool because it still leaves part of the bump in there. So it gives it this kind of nice kind of 3D quality, like it's kind of physical paint. Like that. And again, same thing on the fox type character. Again, you can change the size of the brush if you want. And then just kind of rub bits out. So take it down even more, actually. Take it down really, really small. If you want kind of more of a kind of chipped paint type effect. And of course, you can use images in this. So you could even get, like, say, a cracked effect or something like that, and put that into the image or movie, and then stencil it and then draw over the top with that as well. So that's another option if you want to kind of do that. So again, I'm just kind of taking parts this way, but hopefully you can kind of see that bump on there. So again, really good for things like graphics. It could be anything, graphics, like logos, lettering. It could be dirt, rust, you name it. Even something like moss. I guess you could technically, put some kind of like algae type thing if it was, if the situation needed it, or whatever, really. But that's pretty much it, folks. So hopefully you found this useful. And of course, if you did find it useful, please like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, folks, thanks for watching, and bye for now.